House Republicans are pressing ahead with a sweeping overhaul of the federal law that governs almost every aspect of higher education without hearings and despite mounting pressure to provide more time for analysis and input. On Tuesday, the House Committee on Education and the Workforce considered amendments to the Promoting Real Opportunity, Success, and Prosperity Through Education Reform Act, introduced by Chairman Virginia Foxx, RNC, and Rep. Brett Guthrie, R. Kentucky. The process known as markup was expected to take 2 days as Democrats and Republicans plan to introduce nearly 60 amendments, according to congressional staffers. The legislation is the first significant step in the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act of 1965, which has remained largely untouched for nearly a decade. As a result, university, student, and consumer groups are pleading with the committee to slow down. Barely 2 weeks have passed since Fox released the 542-page bill, a tome that would change everything from the way families finance education to the way colleges are held accountable for their performance. On the eve of the markup, Republicans tucked in more provisions, including giving the Education Secretary greater flexibility to cut off federal grants to students and barring campuses from regulating fraternities and sororities. Despite the fact that reauthorization is already several years behind schedule, this bill is suddenly being rushed through committee. Ted Mitchell, president of the American Council on Education, wrote to committee leaders Monday in a letter signed by 36 other organizations. This expedited time frame limits the ability to analyze the bill and consult with affected parties, leaving the committee in the position of asking its members and the public to support legislation before knowing its full impact. Mitchell, who served as Undersecretary of Education during the Obama administration, said the organizations have significant reservations about the legislation, although there are elements they support, a position echoed throughout the higher education community. These actions are anathema to higher education leaders across the country. Yet, these actions are anathema to higher education leaders across the country. Yet, many have praised the legislation for simplifying the financial aid application, using grants to provide incentives for students to graduate in 4 years, eliminating student loan origination fees, and expanding work-study opportunities for low-income students. But some worry the bill could raise the cost of college for those who can least afford it by ending the federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant and no longer paying the interest on low-income students' loans while they are in school. The grant provided $732 million in aid to 1.6 million students in the 2014-15 academic year, according to the Education Department. Eliminating the supplemental grant without channeling the funds directly into another need-based grant program, like the Pell Grant, is simply a cut to students trying to pay for college, said Michelle Asha Cooper, president of the nonprofit Institute for Higher Education Policy, in a review of the legislation. And ending the interest subsidy, she said, ultimately means that students will pay more for college.